Hey, yo, let's go. You know what it is? Another week of that Smoke and Bear show. I'm Mike Rennie. With me, as always, the lovely Mary. How's it going?
It's going wonderful. How are you? It's a big week back in New York, I guess, with the return of Belmont at the Big A.
Belmont at the Big Egg. Yes, they didn't want to just, Aqueduct wasn't enough. Let's make it a little something different. And then they'll change, I guess, to normal Aqueduct after Belmont at the Big A, which is even kind of funny, more funny. Uh, so classic, some horse racing stuff that we like to deal with. And this is one of those days for me. I know I'm getting old. I literally had to put on some icy hot before this episode, loosen the neck and shoulder up. So I'm ready. Icy hot's going. We got a great show this week. We got Jason Barkley, trainer in the Midwest circuit. Cool interview with him. Great catching up. We're going to go over the Pocahontas Stakes, 2-year-olds starting to get after it here. Derby preps, Oaks preps, pretty cool stuff. And we got some plays, pick threes, and more. So, let's hop right into this. We're going to go to Churchill Downs is back. No turf, which is sad. That I'm just real quick. Churchill Downs and Gulfstream not having turf is just depressing to me as a horse player that loves, especially Gulfstream the most. And Churchill, there's so much money in those tracks to not have turf right now a little bit. Mary, kind of interesting, right? For how large those outfits are.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had our fair share of turf racing over the last couple of weeks with Kentucky Downs, just totally screwing us over with all these big price horses. But
yeah, right. It does. It does. So hopefully they get their turf rolling, but no turf this fall. But we got a great stakes race this weekend. They have a bunch of them. We're just going to focus on the Grade 3 Pocahontas 2-year-olds, mile and 16th, maybe see an Oaks winner. Mary doesn't think an Oaks winner comes out here. She chimed at me. Mary, what did you kind of notice from this race?
I mean, this too, but I don't know. I find it really hard to get behind these two races at Churchill Downs just because I'm not a fan of their production over the last couple of years and what they produced.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But
no winners are coming from it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there aren't really these great factors coming from these races, and I said something on Twitter and some people went a little weird, but I just didn't think Echo Again was going here. This was not what I thought, because it's a Grade 3. Yes, it's at Churchill Downs. So having that experience to have raced at Churchill Downs, maybe that's what they see. Maybe that's what they want.
Yeah.
But personally, if it doesn't work out in that regard, I would have rather my horse have a Grade 1 on its resume, like a Champagne. Instead of a Grade 3 at Churchill Downs. So that's just what I was thinking, because I think so much about this industry now is trying to create as much value as you can for your horse. And that's what people are talking about with, they're already talking about stud fees with Flightline. So
I know, right? Crazy.
This money is industry, and we're foolish to not acknowledge that. But going back to Pocahontas, we have here running on Saturday.
Yeah, and it just shows, no winners from the Oaks have been coming out of this last couple of years. So we'll see. Never know this year. You have a couple of horses that are jump off the page. That's the people. The Just a Warrior, 2 in a row. Ortiz has 2 in the race, but this will be probably the betting favorite is Just a Warrior. Then you have Naughty Gal, trained by the coach. This we'll see. It's just at that spot. Then you have Fun and Feisty with the McPete, who I think peaked. No pun intended there. But yeah, I don't like that horse. Naughty Gal, I'm not going with. I'm going with the Ortiz, the Just a Warrior. I think this horse will get its third in a row. Has one of my key things I like. After its second race, the buyer only jumped about 5 to 6 points. It wasn't like a 30-point jump. Like I think Fun and Feisty went from 40 to 71 in his last 2 races, if I'm correct here. And I just don't like that. It's just sets up for a bounce. Just if you look back, that usually I mean, maybe the horse will. Maybe Fun and Feisty, we'll go to 90. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Ortiz down there with Just the Warriors, who I'm kind of leaning with. What are you thinking about, Mary?
I think I'm going to go with Grand Love. I know I kind of seem to be on the Steve Asmussen train here, but I just feel like that's kind of the direction that I'm leaning towards.
It ran a heck of a first race, though, huh?
Yeah, definitely did. So it's so weird because I never really quite appreciated the fact that horses will take a liking to certain tracks and won't take a liking to other tracks. So you never know if a horse really loves Saratoga and just ran incredible there, and that doesn't translate to another track. And
fully agree. And some people just, depending on the outfit, they just will run. They want to run a horse at Saratoga. So it could be just a little prep race to something they might not like the track, or the trainer and owner just kind of was their setup race moving forward, just to have something at Toga. I mean, and I can understand why, by visiting it my first time this year, why you'd want to have a horse that's run Saratoga. It's amazing. It's a historic venue. So totally agree with what you're saying there. That horse runs back, that or goes up, probably going to be tough to beat, so we'll see about that. It's going to be an exciting race. So let's see who develops here, who grows, who backpedals. So it's a fun time of the year to see who's going to be coming up for those Derby preps. Check the future odds too, is a little stuff that you can kind of just gauge. Maybe that's something you won't see. Look for a price horse taking a little money, some jumps, also to some Derby preps and Oaks odds I like to look at and stuff. So Mary has a pick 3, little transition here. We got the big, what's it again? How do you say it? Belmont at the big Belmont at the Big A. Sorry, it's going to mess with me until I get it. Aqueduct was all to say for now. The Belmont at the Big A. Here's Mary's pick 3. What do we got?
So we are starting in the 6th race. We're spreading a little bit to a couple horses, and this is, I believe, I'm just double checking. It is a maiden special weight, a mile and 16th on the inner turf. So I like it. I like it. There's a few horses that I liked just based on percentages and just some that caught my eye in certain different ways. So there's that. But then we go to the 7th race, and I believe I singled here Mrs. Green. Yes, I did single Mrs. Green. I have a feeling this horse is just going to run. I
like it.
I don't see this horse losing. Maybe I'm being naive in this, but that's what I see from the last out. I like what I see, and we're just going to hope on that. And then we spread a little bit in the last race, and we're going to get it home this time, obviously. So
yes, we've been 2 out of 3 on these pick 3s we've been doing here. Last one, Mary lost the middle leg on a single on a muddy track that came flying late. I picked a maiden that didn't run, maybe ran last place to my single, but it made it to the last leg. But hey, we're getting this home. I like this ticket. I'll be firing it for sure. But yeah, let's get that and get off the schneid. We'll get this home for sure. I like it. We got some good stuff. Hey, we had a cool interview this week. We have trainer Jason Barkley, Midwest Circuit, came in, gave us his insights. It's good to get. He's young, 31, grew up in the game, trying to adjust. You could tell how he talks about how he's adding horses, taking away, trying to just find the best way to go about it. And it's a tough game to win in. So let's hop into that interview. Here is Mr. Jason Barkley. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Heck yeah, man. Appreciate it. Just trying to branch out to all the coast to coast, just kind of getting everyone involved. I know you're on the younger side, and that's what we're trying to push, too, to keep people interested in the game, the best as we can. Even if it's, if we get 1 to 2, 3 people interested, it's at least doing something, you know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. That's kind of how I view it too. And, always try to bring in some new people and new owners and, educated them along the way. And, I try to tell people, I'm the trainer, but it's your horse. So we can kind of make those decisions together as we go.
Heck yeah.
That's kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of there's a lot of back and forth between the trainers and the groups, and I see a lot of times a lot of groups that own horses are always pushing to put their horse in the best level because, you know, it's almost like their kid at that point where it's like they think that that's like the best thing ever, but maybe the horse doesn't belong in that level, and those conversations are maybe uncomfortable.
Yeah, sometimes they're tough to have. I mean, it just depends on, you know, the owner and, you know, kind of the money invested and, you know, where they came from. Like homebreds are always harder because, you know, that's a bloodline that they've been building for a long time. So if, you know, the horse is not necessarily all that fast and you have to kind of tell them that and then direct them to maybe a maiden claiming race. You know, most of the time they want to see them fail before they'll let you drop them. Yeah. So it can be kind of difficult. And then obviously if someone's paid a lot of money for one as a yearling, you know, you have to have those conversations, but you just try to be realistic and, you know, don't blow smoke up them and, you know, let them think that they have something they don't. Cause the better you make it sound and to start out, the harder that conversation is. Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you're just kind of upfront with them and say, hey, you know, this horse, you know, everything it works with, it gets outworked by, just so you know, that's kind of not a good sign. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe they turn the corner when they get out there. Maybe it's kind of, they're not a dirt horse and you'll see what they can do on the grass. I mean, there's different options, but a lot of the times they just aren't the horse that they want them to be.
Yeah. I could see that being difficult. Like you said, it's always before the horse runs, you want it's in your mind it's going to be the best of course, which everyone's going to have. But like you said, if you're up front with it, this is where we're at. This is maybe where we're spotting them. They know where they're going to be. So that's good stuff.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you talked about those conversations and communication and all that between you and clients. I mean, what would that look like? Say Mike and I want to buy a horse and we wanted you to train it. What kind of comes with that? How does this process work for you?
You know, so there's a lot of back and forth. I mean, obviously a perfect example right now is with the Keeneland sale coming up. You know, we've had conversations with guys. Okay, so like, what's your bankroll? And is that your bankroll for the horse or is that your bankroll for the year? And you kind of, you know, start to budget it out that way. And then, you know, I don't necessarily ask. It depends on their level of like knowledge. You know, if they're very knowledgeable about pedigree horses, it's one thing to kind of get their input. But if they just kind of know horse racing and, you know, they're gamblers or whatever, I go at it a little differently. Yeah, it's more of what don't you want me to buy you, not what do you want me to buy. Because if you like hate, you know, Dialed In as a sire, I wouldn't want to say, hey, we're going to buy this Dialed In for $100,000 and you're going to own it. Same way with jockeys when we're entering horses. Okay, it's like I ride who I ride, but if there's a guy you hate, you know, a jockey that you hate, then just tell me and I'll be like, hey, we will never use that rider on your horse, and that's fine. And oddly enough, I actually had that happen once, and the guy's like, never ride so-and-so. And I said, okay. And then we were running at Turfway, and so-and-so was having a very good meet. And I said, well, you know, I think he would fit your horse really well. And he was, okay, well, you can ride him. And he won 2 in a row. So that kind of, you know, it's kind of, you know, I had to feel it out. And the guy, I mean, he understood and, you know, it worked. So, but a lot of it's just, you know, being honest and upfront. And I mean, kind of like the blog that I started this past week, it's just about being transparent. And a lot of people, I think, there's a lot, like, I think there are a lot of people think it's smoke and mirrors behind, like, what we do and what we say don't necessarily match up. So, you know, I try to just put it all out, you know, this is what we do. And, like, you know, doing it with the entries is one thing. And then, you know, the days where I don't have entries, I'm just trying to do little bits of, you know, this is kind of a day-to-day or this is a therapy process or just different stuff that kind of goes on in the barn so that they can see, like, it's not like I just enter horses and show up on race day. It's, you know, that we have stuff going on every day, and, you know, they're getting cared for probably better than a lot of people's, you know, pets that they have at home, and
that's a fact.
And possibly even themselves. I mean, I probably take care of them better than I take care of myself. So
that's all. I feel that.
You know, so
that's what most of the, like you guys are. That's what I love about the game too. The people don't understand the back side of it. You guys care so much about these animals. That's for sure.
Yeah, you know, it's just. I mean, for me, I'm 4th generation I grew up doing this, so like, horse racing's pretty much given me everything that I've gotten, from start to finish. So, I take care of them, the way they take care of me. So, that's kind of the way I put it. And, there's people that didn't grow up in it, and, they have their reasons for why they're involved. And, everybody, there's obviously a few bad apples out there, but that's in any industry.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to, can't really worry about them. You just worry about what you're doing yourself, and kind of push forward from there.
Yeah. And you touched on it a little bit there. Let's backtrack a little bit about something about you. So you obviously, your dad was a trainer also.
Yeah.
You said you grew up. I saw a little article or something like you're like, you say you grew up on the track. Did you know, like, after high school, college, is this what you wanted to do always, or do you have any ideas doing other stuff, or is this kind of you want to be in the race industry the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, this has pretty much been my main interest since I was a kid. I mean, I had little interest here and there of other stuff, but nothing major. I only applied to U of L, University of Louisville, because they have an equine business degree, and I got in. Had I not gotten in there, I probably would have just started working at the racetrack. Because you grow up working on it, it's really just nothing changes. You just graduated school, and now you just start working.
Yeah, exactly.
But I went to U of L, met a lot of people, made a lot of good connections. We kind of went from there and got my first real assistant job, and kind of grew from there. But as far as my background, my dad trained, my grandpa trained, my other grandpa owned.
Yeah.
My great grandmother trained, so
yeah.
It's kind of been what I've been doing since I was a child. So.
That's awesome. That's some good stuff. And I saw on your stats, Equibase has you 2015, your first year. Then 16, you maybe took a year off. And then 17, you looks like from there on you've ramped up. And each year you've increased your purse innings. And on this year, it looks like you're on pace to break last year's if everything goes well. But it looks about right to me about how your chart's going. So was that kind of accurate about how?
Yeah, pretty much. So I kind of, on a whim, a guy went, he's like, let's claim a couple horses. So I did it in 2015.
Yeah.
And then the winter months were coming, and I still only had the two. And so I was like, well, I probably should get an assistant job. So I took a job with Joe Sharp and worked with him through the winter, and then did a year with Wesley Ward, and then started again on my own in 17. Nice. And really just kind of started with one horse when I started, or really no horses. I had a check to claim a horse, and claimed that horse, and just kind of slowly but surely, word of mouth got out, and people, send you 1, 2 here and there, and they're not always the best horses when you start, but you just kind of make the most of it and build from there. And now we've got, I think at our high point last year, we had 38. This year, we're sitting at around 30. But, obviously you said you looked at Equibase. My number of starts will be down, but my earnings is up. So we've definitely increased our quality and decreased our quantity, which is kind of what I want to do, is just continue to increase the quality and, grow that side of things. And, you don't have to win as many races if you're running in the better races. Obviously you want to win them all, but,
of course.
You just kind of put your time into the better quality, and then, kind of go from there. Let them carry you.
And we are back. That was a great insight there. Just kind of how to grow it from the start, how he kind of, being 4 generations, I feel like puts pressure on you too, been done before. So, but it was great info from Jason there, huh, Mary?
Oh, definitely.
Yep. And we got a great, horse of the week here. Actually got 2 horses in one. Let's pull that up. And here they are. A couple fancy horses, I'll tell you that.
They definitely are. And this was sent to us by our friend, Brian. And I won't even attempt the actual handle of the Twitter name. Do you have any guess? But
no, I always love it. I'll let him say that.
I was trying to look at it to pronounce it, but our friend Brian, who's been super cool. I was actually talking to him, just to preface, I was just talking to him at Saratoga this meet, and he just said the nicest things. I love you guys doing such positive things, and you're always positive and upbeat, and that's what we love. So
he's good stuff. He's a great guy.
So he sent two photos that are together, obviously, of Nest on the left and Malathot on the right. He was saying, he just goes by and says hi, and they look sure pretty darn cute. So
that's the great thing about Toga. A couple absolute stud horses. Like Nest, lovely, one of my faves. And that's for sure. I'm so happy I got to see Nest in person. That was awesome. How lucky that was. It's great timing. Love me some Nest. Man, that was good stuff. Couple horses now that I got here. We're going Friday 1st, Gulfstream Park, race 2, Poseidon's Son. This horse is now not in for a tag after, you can see, the buyers have been solid, 76, 74, 82. The speed just hanging around the lead after they won that race 2 back. And the third place horse from the last time out won next out. And this horse was clearly second. I love clearly seconds or clearly thirds. You at least know they dominated the rest of the horses in the field if it's a decent sized race. So at least shows they have something in the tank. So 4-1 money line. We'll see what happens with that. You never know with golf, but see if Chantel get that home Friday. Race 2, the 2, Poseidon's Son. And then jumping to Saturday, race 9. Got a little price here for the stakes, and I'm going to go with Confidence Game. DeSormo, maybe the horse figured something out. Buyer increase, broke its maiden in a 122K race. So it's not, nothing to write, that's something there. So we'll see if Mr. DeSormo he usually wins at a price, and I like Graham. Graham will win a stakes race, I'll tell you that. And he does it at numbers. So that's a Confidence Game. Race 9, Churchill. Saturday. We'll see what happens in that. Those young stakes races, it's tough to gauge who's developing the most, right? That's what's they're so, to me, it's really difficult to handicap and just develop because they're either going forward or back, right, Mary?
Yeah, exactly. And to chime on what you said, I think Graham is so severely underrated as a jockey. I've had so many price shots with horses that he's had. So severely underrated.
He has brought me some tickets home. He's live. He wins at stakes. You check his numbers. So, hey, thanks everyone for stopping by. Another week of the Smoke and Mare Show. Let's cash those tickets. Have a safe trips for everyone involved, and have a good weekend. Smoke.